He's been called uncannily accurate, deeply healing, and divinely guided. But above all, Greg Sheehy is trusted. If you've ever wondered what's really behind your physical symptoms, emotional patterns, or life blocks, this conversation could change how you see everything. Today's guest is not just intuitive, he's world renowned. For over 2 decades, Greg Shee has been one of the most sought after psychics, mediums, and medical intuitives in Australia and around the world, with over 80,000 private consultations. Greg has worked with individuals, families, medical health practitioners, and even researchers to reveal the energetic and emotional roots behind life's most personal challenges, from health to heartache, direction to deep healing. His gift, it's not just prediction, it's precision. And his impact, it speaks for itself through transformation, clarity, and thousands of referrals from those who've experienced his work firsthand. Greg's sessions are known for their astonishing accuracy, grand energy, and life changing insight. He doesn't operate in vague messages or online gimmicks. His integrity, depth, and delivery are why people trust him again and again. Greg, welcome to Attention is the Currency. I've seen behind the scenes, and it's an honor to now bring your story to the front. Welcome.
Daniel, thank you for such a wonderful introduction. Wasn't expecting anything like that, but certainly I'm quite flattered, I'm glad to be on your channel this afternoon. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. We're really happy to have
Mm,
you on the show. And
mm,
I'm going to go jump straight into the questions because we've
sure.
got a fair bit of information that people want to know about you, and they because of course people are just mesmerized by the skills and the talents and the gifts that Greg brings to the world. And you've helped tens of thousands. But I want to take it back. When did you first know you had this gift?
Um, I recollect around the age of 8 years old, Daniel. I know it might sound a fair way ago, but I recall I was in the backyard of our home and I was talking to my white being friends that were surrounding me, and I was working with them in telepathic mode. I remember I wasn't talking. And I remember my mother came out the back and said, "Greg, who are you talking to?" And I said, talking to my friends." And that was how it started. And we had a dash hound, and it became sick. The lower back collapsed on it, and the vet said they had to take it down. So I walked it to my dog, and I put my hands on its lower back, and then it started walking again. I'm not saying it was me, but energetically, this is how that energy comes through me. And that's how it started. Now, obviously, because in the early '70s and things like that, that type of paradigm was foreign to a lot of people, culturally and socially. And they said, "Look, Greg, you've got a special gift. Just keep quiet and do your work." So I followed middle stream education. I ended up doing university. I did my masters, etc., and I ended up in the telecommunications industry. So, um, and then I realised a little while after that that my highest calling was not in that area, but into this area I'm in now.
Yes. Oh, it's well from a very early age. And
Yes.
before, because we've definitely run through the bios, and before you stepped fully into this path, because as you're calling, you had a
Mm.
corporate background. What was the moment you knew you had to walk away from that and commit to your spiritual work?
Um, I was, as one does, in that position. I was working long hours every day and running a bit of an empire, really, with a lot of staff, a lot of union, a lot of conditions of employment. Then I had their contractual performances to look at, 3 secretaries, 9 direct reports, and multi-million-dollar turnover. But even though I was fine doing that work, I was quite, we achieved a lot as a group, and we achieved our deliverables. But there was a feeling, I can't put it any other way, Daniel, to you, that there was this push within my heart that I didn't want to belong there. And as it so happened, I made a decision one day to, I went to work at 7 o'clock, opened the office door, and then I realized either telepathically or there's an energy around me saying, "Don't do this." And I didn't. And I resigned on the spot. And then
Wow.
I started to find out about more about spirituality, about consciousness, because I was driven with that. People were shocked at my decision, but I knew intuitively, Daniel, that that was my right choice, my right path to embark upon.
Yeah, well, definitely. Well, from what you said earlier, you were told as a child to
Yeah,
sort of keep it in and not
yeah,
explore the full power. And people, you're also a medical intuitive, as
mm,
people are aware. And
mm.
people hear medical intuitive and assume it's a vague or mystical thing. What does your process really look like when you tune in? Because it,
It's this has been acquired skill, if I can say that, Daniel. I mean, when we embark upon a new path, we learn, but I've had, I would suggest an accelerated training program spiritually with this, because the more I've done, the more it's been given to me to a point. And I'm very, very blessed with how divine forces have allowed me to acquire this consciousness. The way I attune to someone is mainly through their name and the vibration of their birth date. And from that, I can see their past, what they're meant to do, what issues they've had, congenital DNA issues, parental issues, ancestral issues, and genetic issues. And then I look at translate the vibration of their birth into a body form. I know it might sound strange, but I've been doing this for a while. And it's not about numerology, it's about the vibration of the human genome and the human spirit that I see in their birth date and their name, and I translate that energy onto a page holographically, and then I look at what I see in the body, how we can do it, when it happened, and how people may relate to this, Daniel. But sometimes people bury things in their life, and then it may come up later because they don't want to deal with it. But for me, the emotions manifest in the physical, and I've dealt with, worked with a neuropsychologist. We work with return vets, post-traumatic stress disorder. And a lot of men, as we probably are aware, ladies and gentlemen, on your channel, uh, don't talk about it, and they bury it, and it tends to go to the creative area. And it happens with a lot of people. And it's not what happens to us in life, Daniel, it's how we react to it. And what I'm here for is to help people disengage from that cellular memory, because the memory is in our cells. We call it a cell membrane. If we turn that around little bit, we get memory brain. So our cells remember everything because it's part of our journey in this lifetime in this third dimension. So I look at the individual, I look at what we call the energy field, which people call the aura, and I see into that vibration. People say, well, how do you see a vibration? My closest recollection of that would be, for people to relate to, is what we call an oscilloscope. And it's a scope that goes up and down vibrations. And then we go from um, very high to ultra high vibration, then we get a picture. It's like looking at a TV in that vibration. So I'm seeing that picture that's come in, and I know what to do with it. I know when people have had trauma, I know how to release it. I look at it and energetic, I white light it and I move it out of the body. So that's how I work.
yeah, no, it is very. I've seen it firsthand, and it's very interesting, and everyone should really experience that for themselves with Greg, because I've seen him do it on rapid fire as well with clients, and it's just it's definitely things that he's tuning into. You can it's definitely hard to explain. I can imagine it's for somebody that has been experiencing it their whole life, and that doesn't know any difference. It's where us on the outside are going, how is Greg doing that? How what's going on in that mind of his?
Well, I've had a number of doctors ring me and they said, how do you do it? And
Yeah,
I said, well, look at what people say about me, not what I say. Read my testimonials and read what they say for their own first-hand experience. And fortunately for me, that vibration is not local. It can be remote viewing as well, Daniel.
yeah,
And I've had I'm dealing with a lot of Zoom calls, people from overseas. I've done a few today. I love what I'm doing, and people say, "Oh, did this happen? Did this happen?" Yes, it did. Did this happen to your body? So I can work through that psychically and intuitively. But the main thing that I am blessed with is I know I'm guided. I know I'm divinely guided, and I know that how uh, us as humans can become more of ourselves through this process.
definitely. Well, it's
Mm,
as we know from your testimonies, you've worked with people on the brink of life and death, including a lot of ICU stories,
mm, mm,
healing stories.
mm.
Could you share one with us that still gives you chills?
Uh, well, there's been a plethora of them. One, yes, there's a gentleman. Actually, I feel this. gentleman's on my website. People can have a look at it. I'll mention his first name only is Graham. Excuse me. I was running a CEO's program because I'm still doing this work because I love helping business as well. So, but I'm looking at the holographic commercial success and spiritual success of business. But I was one lady rang me and she told me about her father, and this is when we had COVID a few years ago, Daniel. And she said that he was in the ICU and he had COVID, and they were concerned that he may not get through. What can I do about it? So I asked for his birthday, and from that, I knew he was an accountant. I knew he was in a Gemini, what he did, and where he was at. And they were, I believe, from memory, they were operating on him. So I put my phone on hands-free and I spoke to his daughter. And I was explaining to her what I was doing because had my healing table, and his body came as a holographic image out of the photo she sent me onto the table, Daniel. So this may sound far-fetched, but this is exactly how I work. And I could see into his body where it was and everything else. And I actually put oxygen through his lungs, through his neurological system, and it was working for me because I was putting white light there. And one of the things I did pick up was that he had an issue with his bowel. And if you read the testimonial, they found he had an issue with his bowel as well. And um, I did a few treatments on him, and then I kept in touch with her and him, and he's still alive.
Yes.
So I'm not saying I did this, but I believe I greatly assisted the doctors with that in my own way.
Yes, well, I have seen the testimonial. It's about three
Mm.
quarters down the front page. So it
So,
should definitely go check that out if you're for the listeners on here. And also, we want to touch on your format for your business because essentially, unlike a lot of other readers, you don't offer via chat or DMs. You're whenever somebody books in with you, you're very clear about booking only through your website.
mm.
Why is this boundary important to your work?
Thank you, Daniel. Good question. This is how I operate. If I may, I don't offer curbside readings. I'm not into that chit chat, right? I like to maintain a professional demeanor with everyone that comes to me because I want to give them the utmost respect of time and the quality of time as well. So, in my opinion, it's very hard to do that as an off the cuff comment, which I don't do. What I do, I tune in. And what I've found, if I may just add to that, please, Daniel,
Yes, of course.
is that people want time. They don't want a quick fix. They don't believe in a quick fix. Um, as I said to a few people, I don't run a drive-through society. You know, you don't get fries with it, right? But what I'm doing, I do give them time and I give them value for time and I give them the best I can do in that time that they allocate for me. So by doing that, I can tune into them better and I can give them a greater outcome, in my opinion, so that I want everyone to walk away knowing that they have benefit from the experience with me.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, it's always the professional way
Mm,
of going through your website and only having those one-on-one Zooms, and then you do some in-person ones here and there. So
yes.
it's, but yeah, it's always that face-to-face value with Greg from where all the testimonials reveal. So you often see things clients aren't even aware of yet. That's something that comes up a lot. How do you balance what to reveal to them and when?
Look, I couch it in a way that I believe is best for the client. Not all, as you would know, Daniel, I'm sure in your own experience in dealing with people, not everyone is built the same. It's not what happens to us in life, how we react to it. So what I feel is that if I know a person is quite sensitive to information, I will couch in a way that suits them best. I'm not blunt, but I'm honest, and I give them the best advice I can, the best guidance I can. Now, I'm a human being. I can't be 100% right all the time, but I do know I do my best for people, and and that's why I spend that time with them so we can go a bit more in depth. And what I've found is that what people really need is someone to talk to. You know, they want someone to talk to who can guide them through the critical areas of their life. And as you probably are aware, and I'm sure your listeners are aware,
Yes.
this world is not in a happy place. People are struggling out there, particularly with finance. There's compulsive behavior that emanates from that. People may be drinking, they may have lost their job, they're trying to pay off their home, etc., etc. We all know. So
So
what I do, I work through those things with people as well, and I give them the best traction that I can in that time so that they can see a solution for themselves. Okay, you may have lost your job. Did you study this? Yes, I did. Well, you know you can use that study again and rekindle that and maybe get yourself a qualified position somewhere or anything like that. I'll find a solution best of my ability to help them along and give them some sense of validity and dignity in life and try that way. You know, people have had trouble with their own health, and a lot of it is psychosomatic, a lot of it is external stresses involved, and that obviously reflects on how their family is. So we're looking at I try to look at a holistic approach on that as well, and to look at how they are within themselves, because all of us are different. We all have our own journey and
mhm.
we're not the same, but all of us want what everybody else wants. We want to be loved. We want to have security, financial, emotional security. We want families and we want a home. And all those things are central to our living in this third dimension. So I'm trying to help them in those areas. It's not just one thing because everything affects everything else here.
And yeah, well, in that question, I feel that you're reading them on two different levels. You're reading them on the sense that the spiritual and their energy level, and also their physical and their body language of how they're receiving that information. Because I guess you're communicating in those two different ways in order to deliver the best
Well, what I
outcome.
find in generational trends is that the humans of us, have different attitudes. If we go back, say, two generations to the people born, say, around the war or just after the war to the generations we're seeing today. And one of the things is each generation has its own issues.
Yes.
People born in the 1920s and 30s end up fighting in a war or going through a depression. Everyone's had their journey in a generation. I feel, I'm not an expert in this, but my own observations in this current generation is the lack of communication that's going on because we're relying too much on technology. I'll give an example that I think everyone can relate to. If we drive past any high school, look at the bus stop, 3:15 in the afternoon. What are they doing, Daniel?
Well, they're on their phones.
All of them.
Yeah.
And then we go home and people are going to the modems. Parents have a parents' retreat. There's home movie theaters and there's everything else. And I was on stage a little while ago and we had a good night. And I had a Q&A then. And a lady asked me what I thought of technology. And I said to the lady, to the audience, I asked the audience a question. Who remembers having a lunch on a Sunday around 12 o'clock? Everyone's sitting around a dining room table and roast lamb or roast chicken. Everyone's sitting around the table remembers it. All of them.
Yeah.
And when I asked them who's still doing, we had about three. So,
Yeah.
we're losing that cohesion of communication, and that is a skill that we're losing as well.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely is it. It
I
is.
think when so communication and how we communicate with one another determines everything. And sending a text from the protection of a keypad does not add to accountabilities or solution solving.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching people how to couch things and speak up because too many people, what I have seen, a lot of people tend to suppress that information and that holds into the body. So we need to get that out, express it, and that clears the energy from the body. It also empowers people because that's what I want to do.
Yeah, and that really digs into the next question is are some of the most common energy imbalances you're seeing right now across your clients? That lack
Well,
of the connection and
it's also what I've felt with people, a lack of empowerment. I mentioned that too just before, simply because of the stresses involved. And they come to me and say, look, I lost my job. What am I going to get? Or this happened or my relationship. And, a lot of people have had oscillations of their mood swings because of other things that have happened to them. So there's a multitude affecting people. And sometimes they can't see the woods for the trees, Daniel. So when I have a consultation with the people, I tune in very quickly. I find out, yeah, did this happen? Yes, that happened last November, December, January, February, whatever. And it generally turns out that there's been suppressed anxiety or repression of emotions that needed to be cleared. And when we do that, we look at in the best possible way for all concerned, how they can move on in life. And whether it's through new work or how to improve their finances. I'm not a financial advisor, but I look at solutions on how they can go to that path and how it affects their health and how they can get past that health and get a better state of so that there's more constant in their own health and in their well-being.
Yeah.
And that to me is a great thing to achieve.
And a perfect lead into the next question is, how can people tell if something, if they're experiencing is more than just physical, and there's something energetic happening?
Well, everything we do is energy. Even our conversation today, Daniel, we're exchanging energies, aren't we? And
Yes.
it's lovely to connect to you. Thank you for your
Thank you,
time.
Greg. Yes, I appreciate
Um,
you being on.
uh, I I am of service to people. When they come to me, I give them the best I can. In terms of energy, a lot of that is what you've already discussed. But what I want to do for people is to give them that sense of hope and the tools to empower themselves. Now, if we give people tools, I'd rather give them tools and tell them what to do, right? I can guide them. And then if they say, do this, well, you need to do that and that. And sometimes it needs a behavioral pattern change so that they know, okay, I need to change who I am in order to become more of myself. So people say, I want this, I want that. I said, okay, if you want more, you've got to become more. And you've got to be proactive to achieve it. And when you do achieve it, it makes you so much better and invalidated and validating yourself. And that way you become a better human, in my opinion, right? Because when we become more of ourselves, we become more aware. I want people to have that.
Developing intuition.
You
Yes.
got it.
Yes.
And it's all about consciousness. So the more aware we are as humans, the better humans we are because we're more aware of everyone else's issues. So we know how to handle that better.
Yeah. So how can people develop their own intuitive awareness?
Okay. Look, there's a number of ways that people can do that. If I may volunteer, I do have introductory courses on this particular matter, Daniel. They're on my
Yeah.
website. I do introductory courses on how to heal the aura, how to heal the chakra, and as I indicated to you earlier, how to work with numbers. Now, that's may start people to understand energy, how to work with energy, how to feel energy, and to be more conscious of their decision making because of that. And that's an awareness thing. So I'm very, very keen to extend those courses to a master class course, which will be very advanced, very specific to do with consciousness and our spiritual development. So that'll be coming up soon, by the way.
Yes, well, that was on our next topic, as we've
Oh,
been reviewing all those things for,
right, right.
because you're not just offering the private sessions, you're also teaching, guiding, and mentoring through your courses in your monthly program. And you've touched on a bit of that before. So people wanting to get into their own intuition and learning those skills and tools.
Mm.
What is one practice from your programs that people say changes everything for them?
I think it's just being still, all right, and meditating, finding that quietness, and through breathing. Now, breathing is a technique that's been practiced by most religions. Uh, Comes from meditation and just have that stillness in life, so it gives you clarity of mind, and that's a very good practice. Another practice is imagining you're doing something, right? And it's like a vision board in your mind. If you can achieve that, what goals, what things do you do to get there? And also to start feeling things around you. And if everything's got a vibration.
Yeah, that's that's phenomenal. I know that the courses and the subscriptions going really well. I've seen the testimonials flowing on there,
Thank
and
you. Mm.
so from here, Greg, where can listeners go to book a private reading with you, or join your subscription, or enroll in one of your courses?
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, definitely. Look, go straight to my website, gregsheehy.com. You'll find I think it's under booking a reading. There you'll find the different types of readings, Daniel, whether it's an express reading, if people want a quick reading for a quick issue or a quick answer, it's a 25-minute express reading. I also offer 1 hour psychic readings. I also offer medium readings, and I can talk to those who are crossed over. And I also offer medical intuitive readings. So all those are listed on my website, and you make your booking. It's logged in, it's all done, and then make the appointment with me.
Very good, Greg. And what's up next for your community? Where are you going from here?
Well, I'd like to become more involved with community. It's a good question, Daniel, because I want to do more.
Yes.
And I indicated about doing master classes. I'd like to engage with more courses and probably do more of what we're doing now, and probably do some media work that could be coming up, looking at that as well.
Definitely. Well, we would like to see you on more screens, Greg, and out there,
Right.
and more happening. And the final question, which is our signature question, we ask on, well, we ask a little variation on every episode,
Mm.
because we are attention is the currency. And if attention is the currency, what is one thing you believe the world needs to pay much closer to attention right now in themselves or in the bigger picture?
My feeling on that question, I feel it's in two parts, my answer. I would like people to become more aware of their own power, to become more aware of their own gifts, to get through things. As I said at the beginning of your interview with me, the world can be in a far better place than what it is. And there's a lot of mixed messages out there. But I feel if people trust their own judgment, know within themselves, yes, I am doing the right thing, and become more aware of what is around them as well. I would like people to become more patient, to become more loving within themselves. I think spirituality is about the relationship we have with ourselves, with our spirit, and then it extends from there. I do a lot of healing sessions in my podcasts, and most of the time, I always mention look through loving eyes. And I think if the populations around the world look through loving eyes rather than hatred, then we can create paradise on this planet.
Oh, yeah, that's a great answer, Greg. That's a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Greg, it's been a privilege. Your work, your clarity, and your presence is something truly rare. To anyone listening, if your body, your life, or your path feels blocked and you've tried everything logical, maybe it's time to try something deeper. Greg Shee is the most trusted name in intuitive healing for a reason. Visit gregshee.com and explore what's possible. Because attention is the currency, and what you invest in determines the energy you carry forward. Thank you very much again, Greg. And uh, thank you to everyone tuning in and for another interview, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. Thank you.